Welcome to selfdiscoveryradio.com, where the orchard of wisdom is just ready for picking. We celebrate your why, the journey that you've taken that inspires someone else. We support your services, we support your story. Come and be our guest, become a host, be an author with us. Come and see what we've got. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living and also our Kiss from an Author. I have with me today Telsie-Boese, and we're going to be discovering her why. It's a fictional story about romance, betrayal, based on raw emotion experiences that our heroine Rachel endures. How much of that actually reflects back on how we feel in life? How much do we endure? And I'm Sara Troy, your host here on selfdiscoveryradiotv.com. And I love bringing you people that have been willing to explore and branch out and follow their paths in life, because this is what it's all about, the storytelling and how much it reflects actually on our lives as well. So we're going to dive right into the title right away. Why? Welcome to the show, love.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, why? Isn't that something we say to ourselves lots?
Yes, yes, it is. Very apropos, I think everybody goes through the question of why in life, and how many times in our lives do we say why? And to have a title just simply called Why, opens the door up to so much, doesn't it?
Yes. Why would be anything in that book, and why was I writing it? And it was a gift from my husband. Peter just said, here's a book, and it might have been this thick.
Right.
And he says, see what you can do with it. And it wound up being this thick.
Uh-huh. A lot of whys in there, huh?
A lot of whys, and there's a lot of character building and promotion of the heart, the trauma and drama that we all go through. I don't know where I get some of my ideas. All my life I've just gotten something pouring in, and when it comes, I do something with it.
Yeah.
So, years and years I spent a lot of time creating as an artist, writer, and then writing. I've always written. Mm-hmm. I can remember, I think I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I sketched out a bear. And on the back side, I wrote this message about the bear. Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, I suppose we can add a knot to the end of that, and why not? The thing is, children actually do have their path already there. It's mm-hmm. just society and expectations take them down a different path. But if we nurtured the gift that they were given, recognize it and nurture it and let our kids explore it, mm-hmm. Then maybe they would actually step into that gift a lot quicker.
The messages always have come to me, and I don't know why I was so different. I mean, totally different than the rest of the family, completely. In fact, they thought, sometimes this girl's love.
Oh, yeah. I'm coming to take you away, haha, yes.
And they always raised in a very strict home, mm-hmm. belonging to a Mennonite community, for heaven's sakes, and mm-hmm. None of that worked for me in ways, but those paths and life and hearing voices or getting a feeling and sensation, no, don't go this way, go that way.
Yeah.
And following it, I've always done that.
Yes. Oh. And that is actually, as human beings, is what we're meant to do. We deny those instincts, we deny our intuition, mm-hmm. but it is our heart and our soul's intelligence. And if we're just going to rely on the head, we are constantly going to lead ourselves astray. Right. We need to ignite the whole, the heart, the soul, and the spirit into it to actually understand what we need to know from the mind.
Exactly. I've talked about it. I've written about it. I wasn't going to put my name on this one. I think I told you that. Mm-hmm. I was going to leave it under Peter's name because I've always been very spiritual, and when I was writing all these sex scenes and everything else in there, I thought, no, I'm not putting money into that. Until I found there was a reason for it.
Exactly.
Until I found there was a teaching tool in there to help people. And that's when my name went on it.
Right. But also this whole thing about sexuality and spirituality don't merge. Yes, they are. Your sensuality is you tapping into all of your senses that rise up within you, a passion on all levels. It can or cannot be pursued sexually, or just simply the sensuality of life and living it. It is not something separate. It is something we are.
This is true. That is the truth of really discovering who you really are, but you have to discover all the elements of that. Your spirit life, your physical life, your love life, your work life, but you have to bring them all together under this one umbrella that is you.
Yeah. And of course, you are not just you. There are multiple yous that make you up, right? You're not just the steak. There's all the potatoes and the veggies and the spices and everything else that goes along.
And the water and the milk and the glass of wine.
Yeah, exactly. And when we truly actually decide in our self-discovery to embrace all aspects of us, I mean, as a child, you knew you were an artist, you knew you were a writer. Your parents weren't, your family wasn't, so you had nothing to relate to. But it was a calling within you that you could not deny.
No.
And you've never, no matter what you've had to do or paths that you've had to take, that aspect of you is something that's always been there, saying, don't deny me. Don't shut me out, because I'm just going to open up another door.
Well, and then I'll go into that leads into another book and whatever. But when something comes like at you like this,
yes,
and you say to my husband that was with me at that time, and I said, "What was that meaning to you?" And he said, "Well, it would mean to stop." I said, "Apply the brakes," and he did. And the car ahead of us, the right-hand back wheel comes spinning off, flew into the air, and would have crashed right through our windshield if he hadn't applied the brakes. But as it did, it crashed right in front of our car and our truck and bounced over.
Wow.
Behind us and went to the other side of the medium and across the another highway. I said, without that, and that was only a few seconds before that happened.
Yes.
So if you did not reply to that and just shrug it off, well, who's putting your hand up like this to me? What for? I said, what does that mean to you? And he says, stop. I said, then put the brakes on.
Yeah. We must not deny this.
I know. That's what I'm forcing people to sort of realize. You got a nagging something here, or you see something, or you hear something. It is so important to pay attention to those things. And sometimes you say, well, I don't know why I get it.
Yeah.
There's that word again.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. Why is this happening to me? Or why should I hear this if I don't know how to understand it?
Right.
And that's why I say you have to practice the understanding and listening.
Yes.
The mind, the heart, and the soul. And then you will start to understand why these signals are coming to you.
And this could be a very good reason why, sexuality immersed itself into your book. You're married to Peter now, who we had, who's also on air with us this week. So, PJ Churchill, please check out his show. It's actually on epilepsy, but also he's an author in all his writings and poetry. And, just meeting you. And, how the writing has actually been his salvation and his calling in life. But perhaps the reason you didn't write it before is that there wasn't somebody that switched that on in you enough to feel comfortable enough to write it. And now you're not feeling, quote, dirty about writing it. You're speaking from that joy of it, where you're sharing it in this book.
The energy of that. And the fact when we're talking partnerships.
Yes.
Partnerships in everything.
Yes.
And partnerships, when if he goes away, I'm just, no, what am I going to do? Anyway, talking about partnerships, and I think Peter showed you this book. I do all my graphics, but this is the one that had that.
Yes.
I saw the statue, and I bought that statue about 50 years ago. And I named it Peter and Me.
Right.
And
Yep.
then when I met Peter, I says, oh, I'm married. I'm not talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then shortly after that, my husband passed away. Bing, boom, boom.
Yes. Well, I always believe that there are people that you meet in your life, that people say sometimes, why does a marriage break up? And it's like, well, maybe you were purely to come together to have children or to learn to love
Exactly.
yourself from it. Or this idea that we have a partner for life, is we have many chapters in our book of life. And, those chapters sometimes don't include the partner in your life. And sometimes they're not in the next chapter because you realize you've moved in a different direction. And yeah, you do have to work at being together. But there
Yes.
has to be something more than just hard work. There has to be something that there's a core, from the heart and soul again connection, because then you can weather anything and both of you can branch out, come back, branch out, come back, and celebrate each other's journey without disconnecting. Right? And I think that's one of the biggest problems with people today is as they're exploring their own journey, they don't come back to each other and share it and support each other. They end up severing because of it or resenting the other person's journey. And it's very important that we are constantly weaving in and out of our interaction of life, because that's what we're bringing to our relationship.
Well, this is true. And, when he left to go back to the UK to pack up things, I was just going bonkers. I missed him so much. I missed his energy so much. Yeah. I didn't have this person that I enjoyed talking to. And when we write, if I'm stumped, I'll say, let's have a chat. Or if he's stumped, they will come and talk to me. He'll pull the chair up to my computer and say, that's okay, what's on your mind? And well, I'm a little stuck here or whatever. I'm thinking of this or that. And so we just chat about it. And that's where we support each other in the writing. You get writer's block, and and then you need that free time after a book.
Yes.
To just, let's not think about anything right now.
Right.
So it's very, very enlightening to have, or for me it is, to have him in my life to share and to chat on what I love.
Right. And it helps the fact that he loves what you love because he is doing it too. You're both riding the same vehicle here, right? And you might be kind of looking at the view slightly differently and bringing it different. To my right I've got this, but to my left I've got that. Right? You're sharing the view, but you're in the vehicle sharing it, which is what's really, really nice. We don't seem to share things anymore. I don't know what happened. I mean, you have been married before, and it's, relationships you kind of look at and you go, I mean, my own kids have said to me, Mom, why did you marry Dad? He was so different. And I said, divine intervention. I was meant to have you 3 kids. And that was it. Sometimes you've got to just look at things as they are. If there isn't that connection where you feel that you can chat, talk, support, celebrate together, then what's the point of a relationship?
That's it. And when you talk about that, it's amazing when I was writing this book, how many women I talked to. And I talked to a few women. And I said, so when you have an orgasm, what's that?
Oh, yes. It's shocking the amount of women have never had it. I know.
I says, in this day and age, I just cannot believe that I'm still talking to women that are not sure what an orgasm is. I said, if you had one, you would be knowing that you had one.
And you would want another.
And then you want another one and another one. And thankfully, women can go on and on and on for a while, but men might peter out after one.
Yes. Exactly.
But, if you have a pleasing husband, then, things can happen and move on. And, those are the things that at first I was so embarrassed to talk about, but I'm not anymore.
No.
To me, this has to be brought out more and more to all people, men, women, heterosexual, bisexual, I don't care what your relationship is in, but you do have to talk.
Yes.
If you're not being satisfied on something.
Right.
Especially you're making love and you're just saying moaning and groaning and pretending, you're losing out. The one that does the moaning and groaning and pretending, they're losing out.
Yeah, it's the old one, Harry Met Sally. Harry Met Sally, the whole famous scene, in the diner, just faking the orgasm.
Yes,
And it's,
exactly.
and it's like, you do kind of, am I expected to do this? Am I expected to do that? I don't know if you remember the books. I'm going back to the 70s now. And, it's, honey, the ceiling needs painting. And it's all these little captions of couples making love, little drawings.
Yes,
And then
yes.
things that were going on during it, everything but participating in the act.
Exactly. Oh, are you done yet?
Yeah.
Give me a break. No, no.
You're not in it. You're everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And from a good part of my life, I was that way too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get over with. Oh, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But you have to learn to talk to each other.
Yes. Yes.
And
the thing is about sex, that intimacy, that sensuality, you are making love a long time before you even get to touching each other. It starts with the eyes, with the tone of voice, even with the slight movements. It's something that can build up over days, or over the day. It's not like, okay, we've got 5 minutes, shall we?
No. Then you say, no, you wait till you got an hour or and a half with me, then it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have time.
And it is that building up. It is the holding of the hands. It is the touch. It is the gentle touch along the back of the spine. It's the cuddle snuggle time. People have got to understand it. Intimacy isn't about just fornication. It is about all those other beautiful things that happen between you before you even get to that level.
That's right, because then everybody's senses is working towards it. Not that you're doing it, because that's your end results, but if you get used to being a good partner and, coming over and touching his head or her head or giving him a pat or giving him a peck on the cheek or a lip or whatever, or just, as you say, on the shoulder, just a quick, oh, thanks, hon. And, you start getting these things happening in your own body, and then you're wanting to give back to that person too, whatever it is.
Yes.
Not sexually having intercourse right there in the dining room table or anything, but you want to.
But that can be fun too.
I don't think I've ever done it, but that's okay.
Yeah, we get to our age, it's comfort, baby, comfort.
So no, it's just when somebody does something nice, or just even comes in and gives you a smile, Peter used to come when I'm cooking, and I got this thing, like a glass divider from the dining room to the kitchen, but I wanted to see through, so the wall wasn't there. And he'd just lay there and he'd put his head and watch me, and I'd just look up and I'd see his smile, and it just made me want to cook more and do something more beautiful, and have something more that he maybe never had before, So all of those things I think are so important in your relationship, and I think that, I don't know, why is out there and why should be well read, because there's a heck of a lot of techniques and there's a heck of a lot of things in there. But what we've talked about too is the orgasm. Yeah. When you're in pain, and I try to get this point across to people, because I do have back problems quite often, and I did have a knee problem and so on. But when you're in pain, maybe your partner doesn't want to play because he thinks, well, you're in pain. But you know what? Go ahead and play. Yes. Because once the orgasm is there, the pain is gone for at least 6 to 8 hours.
Yes. Best painkiller ever.
Best.
Yes.
Those endorphins come down, and all of a sudden,
it's like a central massage. That obviously it's very orgasmic. And then, leading up to the intercourse, which then is the crescendo. And you can just feel your entire body releasing completely. Right.
Yes. And there's where the pain pill comes in. And I like that pain pill a lot better than the others.
Oh, yes, yes. There is no warnings to go with it. Maybe the only warning is you may enjoy this too much and wish to do it regularly.
That's a good warning. I should have written that in the book. Where were you? Like that. I'll have to keep that one in mind somewhere.
But that's the
I think I'm even blushing right now. I hope it's not coming through.
Yeah, I think, we're in kind of somewhat the same age bracket. And the thing is, even though the 70s was kind of the free love time, it wasn't romance. It was, don't get hung up over sex, man.
Yeah.
It's like free love, just do it with everybody. And, the 80s became something else. But we lost, I think, a lot of the romance of kind of the 50s and even the 40s and the 60s, where there was some romance in there.
Mhm.
And, it became to, I'm sorry, folks, I'm going to actually say this. It came to more facky rather than making love, right? I'm sorry if I've offended
Another good
anybody,
word.
but
Another
I
good
can't
word.
think of anything else other than to describe it as that, because it was not making love.
No.
It was just fornication with someone else and had no meaning to it. And so we swung the other way, where it all became about this sex, but as you said, nobody had the pleasure. I mean, a guy has a different type of pleasure. Women didn't, because we need more time. We need more attention. As you said, we can have multiple orgasms within that one
Mhm.
space of lovemaking if the man is attentive. So if
Yes.
it is all about, wham, bam, thank you,
Man or
ma'am.
woman, doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. The man also taking his time, or
Yes.
having multiple orgasms himself, because he's willing to take the time and be aroused again. The thing is time, caring for each other, taking the time with each other, not just jumping into bed and thinking, I'm having sex, or I'm a liberated person and I enjoy. No, you didn't enjoy that. You didn't enjoy that because it was too fast and it wasn't making love to you. It was just those
And
two words I said.
how many people you talk to, do they know what the G spot is?
Right. Exactly.
And if I
Yeah.
mentioned it now and somebody's listening, then what is she talking about?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? I mean, that is inside of the vagina. That
Yes.
is up. And you have to find it.
Yes.
And when you do,
Oh, yeah.
look out.
Yes,
And
exactly.
it's all that knowledge. So all that research that I did and whatever went into the book.
Such a trial and tribulation of research.
I know. Thank God
How you
somebody
suffered.
suffered. I tell you, I read and I read and I read and I read, and I'm thinking, oh, am I going to remember these endorphins and all this stuff and how good this is for even seniors? That's what I say.
Yes.
They think seniors, you're too old to have sex. You're too old to have this enjoyment. Bull.
Hope not.
Well,
I
I'm
think I
a
need to
senior.
find someone to do it with. I hope I'm not too old.
I am a senior. Like, yeah. When Peter tells me how old I'm going to be this year, or in December, and I'm going, "You're full of it."
Yeah, well, you can see by me with the silver hair here.
Yeah, well, that's why I put the blonde in.
No, I backed off from that. I thought, I am what I am, and
No, but I don't have that much. It's there.
You're right. Yes.
The back of my head is dark brown almost. When
Right.
I was a redhead.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I was, a blonde and sandy blonde and all of that, and I've been multiple colors through my time, and I just got to a point, embrace it. The silver's coming through. This is who I am. I'm not rushing to old age, but what I'm doing is just embracing me naturally. I'm 64. I'm still single, but it's who I am, and that is you get to a point in your life where, why do I have to be anything else for anyone else?
No, you don't. No.
You take me or you don't take me, right? And that's one of those big whys. Why doesn't somebody love me, or why can't I find someone? Are you looking to find someone to please them, or are you loving yourself first?
That's a good point.
Because if you love yourself first, that's the vibration you're setting off, isn't it? As an invitation.
Yes, you're setting off the chemical reaction that you are proud of who you are.
Yeah.
You love basically who you are. You attempt to do the best you can every day.
Yes.
And you move forward from there, and you're willing to explore new avenues. Here's my third husband. My first husband, after about 30 years, we divorced. And the second husband, and we were almost 20 years, so you're going to find out how old I am. Passed away. And now Peter. And every time I went younger. I mean, with the male partner.
You're such a cougar, you are.
Well, you got to keep up with me. So listen,
Again,
I don't want his
another
mother
stigma,
listening
you
to
know,
this.
why do we have to be with age? Is what, you know, where the heart connection is. Who cares what the number is, right?
If you're full of life and you're full
Yes,
of spirit,
yes,
just be it. You know,
yes.
be those things.
Yeah, don't get caught up with your number.
Mm-mm.
You know, this is my number, and hallelujah, I've lasted this long, you know, and I intend to last a lot longer. I've still got lots to do, but I'm not walking around with this label on my head. I'm 64, so now I need to be. You know, I'm 64 young with so much more to do and so much more life to explore. You know, but it's a
I
question
think
of our choice.
the fun thing about age is, I think I was married young, and I had young children young, and I always lied about my age because I was way under 21, but I always said 21. You know.
Yes, we're always wanting to be older back then, isn't it?
So then my kids were about, I don't know, 4, 8, and 12 or whatever, and I was opening up a bank account for each one. And they said, "And your age, ma'am?" I said, 21. They go, they're looking at the children. Are these your children? Yeah. And your age? I said, 21. Oh, well, no, I'm so used to saying 21. I'm still saying it. And it took me a long time to sort of admit, but I was never afraid to admit my age because I was always the youngest one in the group because I hung with a lot of older ones.
Yes, me too.
You know, 10 years older and so on and so forth. And so I was always the youngest one, so I wanted to be their age.
Yeah.
So that I'd fit in it better. So that it, you know.
Yeah.
But now I don't scoff of it. I am in my 70s, and I'm going to swallow hard now. And I will be 75 in December. And, you know, I don't, other than if the back is plaguing up, I don't feel 75.
Right. And
My
you know,
mind is not 75.
exactly. That's the point. I had a wonderful 85-year-old on air. It's called the Pink Lady, and she'd opened up this wonderful veterans performing thing, which is, you know, for veterans now. Oh, you're too old to perform, so she created a space for them. And she's got such chutzpah and such life, and she gets out there and lectures about life, and she talks about orgasms and everything else, you know. And it's like, she is a participant in life, and she doesn't let age. Now, yeah, she admits she's slowed down, obviously, because the machinery isn't working as it used to be, but the zest for life is still very relevant in her. I live with my landlady is an 85-year-old woman with more energy than I have. She still works at 85, and she's got so much chutzpah about her. Again, it comes down to attitude. It comes down on how we look at life.
Yes.
Do we want to enjoy life? Every single ounce of it for as long as we can? Or are we going to go, well, I'm winding down now? No, you know, certain parts of you do, other parts you can wind up even more, including the people around you.
Exactly. It's there's another saying I would say, and I think I wrote it down on one of the things. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind do not matter. Mm-hmm. And those who matter, they don't mind.
Exactly.
Be what you want to be and who you want to be, and stop trying to cover it up.
Stop apologizing.
Yeah. Oh.
Right? Oh, God, I wasted so much of my life apologizing. Why? Yeah. What am I apologizing for? I'm enough for me. So.
Part in the book. Yeah.
Again, we go back to so many whys, don't we? And it's you know, but you know, I think there's healthy whys, because if we're asking why, that means we are always looking for an answer to either resolve or to move further forward. You know, why am I stuck? What am I not doing? You know, have I put you know, something around me that's blocking energy coming from me or to me, you know, and it's, why am I doing that? Or do I feel I need to protect myself? Why do I need to protect myself? So those whys are always good to have, but don't do a why me.
No, never. Like, you know, you don't want to be calling in some sort of a negative thing like, why me? And then you're pounding yourself down further. And
Yes.
you're making yourself more negative inside.
Right.
The way the world is right now, I don't think anyone should be carrying any negativity. And it's very hard to stop carrying it because you get so, I do, because I'm very, very connected to all energy.
Yes.
I believe I read something more about empaths and things like that. And I believe that's what I have, because when something's happening somewhere in the world, like Peter say, why are you crying?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. The tears are just flowing.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. Something's happening. There's not always that I know what the answers are.
Right.
But you get this feeling that there's something drastically going on somewhere, and then you're bawling your eyes out.
The thing is about, you know, that as an empath, I feel that a lot, and sometimes I can get really down and I have to shut myself off from everything. I tune into music, you know, as a way to bring back my frequency.
Right.
But it's, you know, what it is your vibration, your frequency is traveling certain wavelengths. And if you get a cross wavelength of sadness, and if it's a surge of sadness, a surge of despair, you know, that meets you and you don't know from where it comes, but you just feel it in such desperation. And it's like, what's wrong with you? You know, and it's like, you know, you can't help it because you are feeling it, but you do, you know, you can send out loving vibration back to those people, but you do have to make sure yourself that you're giving that loving vibration to you. Otherwise it's so easy to get caught up in it.
Yes. And then you're caught up on it
Yeah.
again and again and again.
Yeah.
And you wonder what's happening in your life, and what did I do? What step did I forget? You know?
Yeah.
Then I pull out something and I start reading something in the positive note or something, and then I bring myself back.
Yes.
Or I start writing, and then I really get lost. And you know, I'm writing the sequel to Why.
Right.
So there'll be a Why 2. Make it simple.
Kind of reminds me of the millennial, right? Was it Y2K? The world was going to come to an end.
Your computer was going to blow up.
We're still here, folks.
And yes, and you were trying to save everything on discs or something.
Yes,
When your computer blew up, you had all your stuff.
Why save it on discs? Apparently we're not going to have computers anymore. Yeah. Yes. And now they're taking over the world. Yeah.
Now they are.
Yes. So, you know, why was, you know, you obviously explored your sensuality in this book, but, you know, you generally write things a little more serious. Why did you go down this path?
It was his fault.
Because of Peter?
Peter.
Right. So basically he wrote the synopsis of the book, and then you took it and expanded it out into a full novel.
So that's why I gotta stop saying that word. That is why I put his name underneath mine on the title part.
Right.
I mean, it's there.
Mm-hmm. And I love the graphics, by the way. The graphics are wonderful.
Oh, well, the thing with that, you see the triangle meaning something.
Yes.
You know, and then you see the 2 question marks, man being bigger and the one smaller, and they make a heart.
Right.
And then there's this shattered glass going through all that.
Yes.
I don't see it right away, but
yeah.
That's was my intent to say. That cover was to tell you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Not maybe everything, but tell you there's a triangular situation. There's lovers, great lovers, all kinds of things. And I know there were some people that even spoke to Peter. Well, why'd she call it Why? Why not?
Yeah.
Like, to me, why was there for so many questions that Rachel, the heroine, was going through.
Yes.
And searching. Rachel, by the way, she was spiritual, or she is spiritual, and you'd be surprised where the second book is going. Yeah, there's all kinds of goodies, but I get lost in everything when I'm writing all of that. But she had so many questions because she didn't really know so much about her own sexuality and orgasms until Brad came along, her partner, and then it was glory. But never mind, I'm not going to give away the whole book. No,
I love, you know, I mean, I've always been a very sensual person, but I would say my sexuality actually came out in my 50s with a right partner at the time, no longer together, but what he opened up in me was like, wow. I didn't know, I thought I was liberated, but no, I hadn't been. But I think what it was for us is that we were completely connected, in the soul language. So, where the lovemaking was coming from the soul and not just coming from the body, which I needed that connection. And I think that's really important that we know, right? How are we connected? Is it the heart to heart? Is it soul to soul? Is it spirit to spirit? Or is it just purely chemistry? Right?
No. When we started writing this, and Peter asked me to look into it, I can't believe that I morphed this 36-page book or whatever he gave me to like over 400 pages.
You're clearly having fun writing it.
Why? Yes. Never mind. No. No, we talked a lot about it. And we talked a lot about the things like that, about the sexuality of things. And maybe our sexuality at that point in time writing it was really high. I can't remember.
Why not?
I don't want to give it away. See, I'm blushing again. Yes, it was an interesting journey. But then when I settled with that, when I finally finished my other book, which has just been released.
The Orb?
Last year. No, not the Orb is my website.
Right.
The book is Spirit Woman's Quest.
Right.
That one is, now some could say it's my autobiography, because this all happened to me.
Right.
This whole book, everything in there. I went across country by myself. I was getting a divorce from the first husband, and I was taking courses out in Cortes Island in British Columbia. And I was going to just go there for 2 weeks and drive back home. And I picked up this beautiful eagle feather. That was the wingtip, the long wingtip one. And as soon as I touched it, a flash of a man that I knew was a native man, pure blood Cherokee. And I says, oh my gosh, that's for him. So I had to drive all the way down to Arizona and camped and enjoyed my journey of 3 months. I learned so much about self and everything else. I lived out in the free forest even. That was good because I left on a 3-week journey and only had money for about a 3-week journey. Right. And how I went 3 months, I do not know.
Yeah. Because you were meant to, so
exactly,
provide, the universe provides, yeah.
And I stayed there, like I say, long enough to hand him the feather. And when he took it, I mean, he just was unbelievably just elated. And he went into this big meeting of his and put the feather down in front of him, and anything he asked for, he got. Like, it was just. I talked to the secretary when I was leaving the next morning, because that's exactly how fast I left, I said, how'd the thing go? She says, I wish you would have been here to see his face when he came in from the meeting. That feather did everything, because he believes in that. Of
course.
And the connection. And I do too. And I believe in I used to get little feathers flying out of the sky and just landing in the palm of my hand. And sometimes they were gray, sometimes they were blue. And then I'd think of the color. And I think, what is that meaning right now? So there's so many walks in my life that I have journeyed through. So Spirit Woman's Quest was 10 years in writing. It was about 60 years in experiencing it. But then thank goodness, what I did is when I was going through the 3 months of journeys or other things with other people, I would always write them down. Yes. So I had a log of everything, but then just pull it all into order.
Right.
And I do remember Wayne Dyer doing a lecture the one time, and he said to me, or to the audience, he says, if you want to write a book, have somebody draft the cover. And then keep that in front of you. So here's my piece of paper for 10 years that was near my computer all the time. As the artist I am, that's my artwork in the background. Well, you see it on this here. That's a big piece of that's hanging in my living room. And then I took the white buffalo thing that I have up in everything is here in my house.
Right.
And it was the way I put it together. But I drew this all, put this all together, printed this, and it sat right next to my computer staring at me. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to get to you. Yeah, I'm going to get to you. And I didn't change the cover because that's the cover that I was working on. And I thought that was another good way to sort of pulling the energy for what you want.
It's actually wonderful advice because, you know, I've been several years in writing my book, which I haven't got there yet. And it's like I've got information here, information there, and then I keep changing my mind of how I'm going to do it. And then there's simply not enough time because obviously running a network takes time. And also I'm a blogger, or I'm a speaker, I'm an audio person. So to actually sit down and write chapters is not really something that's my forte. So, but having a visual of how you want to tell your story, constantly reminding you, you know, kind of honing you in, I would imagine just triggers you back onto that wavelength, doesn't it? Triggers you back into that groove so that you can get back into it. So it makes a lot of sense. So for those that are just listening, of course, the picture will be on the blog here on selfdiscoveryradiotv.com under Choose Positive Living. Just put in her name, Telsie, and you'll find the posting. And, you know, look at the art. Both of them on the books are absolutely gorgeous. And
well, they're all mine. Peter's mine. This is another one we wrote.
Always
together.
by your side. Mm-hmm.
Yes, always by your side. I had little short writings. He had more poetry and things like that. And can I read you something from here?
Please.
It can hit anybody, because when I was reading it earlier, and he says to me, "Are you trying to get sad?" And I says, "No, but I'm reading it not as me. I'm reading it as, you know, something I could maybe read, and it would apply to anybody separated from their loved ones."
Right.
Okay? So it's called The Sunsets. My love is far away, and loneliness creeps in, just like the setting sun. Slowly sinks into the night. Loneliness creeps in. Missing the smile, the hug, missing the warm body laying next to mine. Loneliness creeps in. The morning arrives, the sun comes up, shining bright, yet the loneliness keeps holding me. Captive through the day, and loneliness creeps in. Until once again the sun sets, and loneliness creeps in again and again. Till the day he arrives home and returns to my arms, and the sun rises and shines bright. No more loneliness creeping in. Within our hearts once again, our love is home forever and ever. My love has returned to me. He is home forever. No more loneliness is creeping in.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, that is a beautiful love story. Yeah. You know, it's would be a lovely one for people to do in their vows. But, you know, it's also not just to do with the lovers.
No, is there anybody?
You know, it can even be to do, you know, with pets. I mean, you can imagine that this would be a beautiful veterans story.
Yes.
Because how many, you know, they go down to the sunset and their loved ones are so far away, and they look forward to that sunrise one day when they can be back together. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it applies to so many people.
It applies to so much. It did apply when I wrote it. It applied to Peter being gone.
Right.
Cleaning up this till he come home.
Yes.
And that's when I wrote.
And Peter's a Brit, by the way, so he went back to England to pack everything up before he came back to join her here in Canada.
As he's a Brit. I always say to him, "You're talking British."
He can't help it. He's a Brit.
I know, but it means you have to explain something to me.
Yes, some terminologies, I know. I still.
If I just say that, "You're talking British," I don't mind, but I need to have some explanation here. Mm-hmm. So it's just that our little differences and things like that I think are kind of humorous too. You don't let go of those things, and you know, he has to be himself, and he can't be totally Canadianized. But
no, and I know, you know, I think that's where people make a lot of mistake when they, you know, find a union. It's now I've got to be what they want me to be. No, they fell in love with you for who you are. Be who you are. Don't ever, you know, as I say, you can bend. You can even twist and turn, but be careful you don't break.
Right. That's a very good thought. Yeah. No, he just, I don't know. I'm just so lucky. I guess I'm so blessed. I don't know. I'm just so lucky to have him and our relationship, and work with him and play with him and argue with him and all those things that go into everything.
Right.
Let my emotions fly, and then he won't do a thing, and then I'll say, "Oh, I did that again. You know, I'm such a hyper emotional type person too. Sometimes I'll just hear something, you know, and I go off on a tangent. And I just don't know why the world is so upside down these days.
Yes.
There's so much negativity flying. And I catch some of that, and then I have to breathe and say, get rid of it. But if I catch it and I get in one of those moods, forget it. Like, you know, anyway, that's life.
But you know, but that's the thing that's very important, though, that we don't deny that. You know, I have a monk on this week, monk Yun, and you know, he's a Western monk. Trained in China, and you know, who's talking of an incident when he was getting some tea at Starbucks, and he had paid for his tea, but he couldn't move forward because they hadn't fulfilled the orders of the cars in front of him. And this guy's honking at the back, and he said he went through these emotions. One of them was that he wanted to get out and put the guy's teeth down his throat, and then the other one is wash the car and go, "I'm so sorry." And then he says, he just, what he did, he just said to the person, "I'm going to pay for this guy's coffee behind me." And the woman said, "But he's so nasty, you know, he's been so rude." He said, "We don't know what kind of day he's having, you know, where he's at right now. I'll pay." But you don't understand, he's buying coffee for his whole office. It's $100. And he goes, "Gulp, okay, I'll pay for it." It ended up that guy then paid for the person behind them. He went in there at 8:30 in the morning. 3:30 in the afternoon, all the news were there trying to get hold of him because it had started a phenomenon of everybody paying for the next person's coffee.
Oh, wonderful.
All right. So he went through the emotions as a human being. You know, I want to thump him, I want to apologize. Instead, I'm just going to raise his consciousness. Right. And this is where it comes down to that choice in life, right?
You love it. Yeah, I love that.
Don't deny your human reaction, but don't react to the human reaction.
That's exactly
Feel it,
that.
speak it, let it out. But then that is not the time to go and do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait until you're a little more level, and it's always about raising our consciousness and reflecting back. There's, as you said, there's so many people in pain right now. So many people. You know, with the fires in California, I've known people to lose their home, and it's and the amount of life that's lost, the amount of animals that we've lost, livelihoods that is lost. And we can feel a great deal of sorrow. Yes, we can do that, but what we need to do is come together and help these people rebuild and rise them up. And, you know, the most important thing, if you have your life, if you have each other, you've already got everything you need, and everything else is just something that you can rebuild. But it's being there for one another, not just in times of crisis, every day. We're in a global crisis right now. We need to be there for each other every day, don't we?
I know. And it's heavy, and lots of people are heavy, and we're talking about it. And I've decided, and I'm going to try to do this, what I'm doing on my Facebook right now, I'm putting in some sort of a phrase, or just started with the word peace.
Right.
As what's your thought for the day. At the top, I said peace.
Yes.
And then it's progressed to another one and another one, and there's a new one today, and it's a few more lines, and I thought, well, this is going to get bigger and bigger, or what are we going to do? But I'm hoping to, because of Remembrance Day,
yes,
and the peace we should send out, and the thankfulness that we send out,
yes,
and I cried the whole day just watching all the different things that were going on, and the beautiful things in France.
yes,
you know, Angela Merkel there, and the French president, and doing their thing. And but you know, tears are flowing because I'm feeling that emotion. I'm feeling that energy. But I wanted to say something about peace, you know, and do something. I am attempting, is my goal, to do something about peace every day for 30 days.
Yeah, no, that is excellent. And you know, there's one picture of the Queen with just one tear coming down her face, and that says it all. You know, people forget she was there in the war. She was helping.
Yep.
You know, and her mother and father were right there, you know, to all the people that have lost their lives, their homes, you know, and they don't forget.
No.
Doesn't matter how old they are. So it's, you know what, we've seen enough of what war is meant to achieve. And yeah, we get some brilliant technology out of it, but it doesn't do anything else, you know, and it really is time to give peace a chance.
Yes, I thought we were closer to it a few years ago. and and then it blew up. But we have to really take a look at that, what is being said, how it's being said, and what's coming out, you know. So without going into politics, I will end that. But
let's talk about Harry Potter and Voldemort. We're in the
yes!
same situation right now. So, you know, Voldemort is his followers, all right,
Yes.
and you know, he's cruel and nasty to them as well. But you know, the power of truth, the power of love, the
Yep.
power of camaraderie and what is right, even though may struggle to win the battle, will always win the battle as long as everybody's stepping up to fight it.
Right.
Right. And that's the invitation right now to everybody, is to raise our consciousness. We know what's right and wrong.
Yes.
You know, and yes, we can get mad and angry, but how about we turn that anger, just like the guy with the coffee, and raise somebody else's consciousness to looking at it in a different way, right? To being accountable of our own actions, our own words, our own thoughts. And what are we doing to change the situation?
Well, we have to lighten the load too, within ourselves.
Yes.
And, you know, just write, if you have an inkling to write down some loving words, and if you're writing them just for yourself, write down something that you would like to hear, and then put it on the mirror and read it. You know, look into this is one thing I used to do too when you're upset. But go to the mirror and look at my eyes in the mirror.
Yes.
And say, Telsie, I love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I didn't really mean it. And then I had to say it again until I felt it. And when I felt it, I knew that I finally said it in a way that I could feel it and help me heal and mend whatever sorrow was going on. But if I walked in there and took my eyes into the mirror and I looked in my eyes and I said, Telsie, I love you. And when I said it a certain way, it empowered me then to feel that love, because I was living by myself, you know, and just didn't have anybody to tell me that they loved me, you know, that type of thing. But you were going through things and energy and whatever. And I thought, I need to do something. So finding a way to say it to yourself, looking in the mirror, you could say it to a wall and it doesn't bounce back. But if you look into your eyes, you will see it when you really mean it.
That's the thing. You know, I always used to say you can't pull the wool over your own eyes. You know, as a counselor, I used to have people do a lot of mirror talk. But also, if you're angry, you know, talk to the mirror. That's the only one that's interested.
Yes.
But it's also talking to the mirror, but also remember to take your arms and wrap them around you. You need to be hugged and touched and to feel that connection of body, heart, and spirit. Love yourself. And you know when you're looking at your eyes, if you're telling yourself the truth or not. And as I said, you keep doing it until you believe it, because your mirror will never lie to you.
No, because
you'll try, but as I said, it won't work for long, right?
No, it won't work at all. You're not going to get away with it that way.
No. Now, there's something else that you sent me that I think is lovely, and it's the Spirit Woman's Quest.
Yes.
Which I have taken and put up here on a banner here, which I want people to read. But would you tell me more about that?
Well, Spirit Woman's Quest is learning. I guess it's an introduction to it. Let me say something like. To me, when I wrote this, I was really fearful in a way. So I had to write this sort of apart. I'll give you just one paragraph in the introduction. Knowing that there will be naysayers, and those that have also experienced something similar in varying degrees. Some may have a complete understanding of their connection with their spirit guides, teachers, and deity, forming a solid base, a platform that helps them on their path. It is for the reader of this account of many events may open the path for you to follow and understand more. Mm-hmm. For others, they may see it only as a fictional story. The choice is in each reader's hands.
Right. Very true.
To me, it's not a fictional story. There is a story, one of the most remarkable events It tells you how I got to go to this 9 ceremony story with my second husband, all the 9 ceremonies that we did and how we got to do them and what happened, how I met this man that sent me on this journey because he needed it to be done and he couldn't do it. And so nine servants or things about sending in the powerful energy into the earth and then releasing it. 9 ceremonies is what I called it. Anyway, there's one ceremony that we did, and we had been traveling quite a distance to get to the Oregon coast, and we were exhausted. And I couldn't find what I found on the Oregon coast, and I wanted to camp there, but I couldn't. All I could find is condos, and I was getting frustrated and angry and so exhausted. And we wound up having a really big row, and tears are flowing, and I'm thinking, all right, fine, tomorrow we'll pack and we'll turn around and go home. It's done. You know, we're just finished. I'm exhausted. We slept, got up in the morning, and I was making coffee, and he came out of the tent, and I looked at him, and I says, are we still going home? And he says, no, we'll do here, but we are going to get down to Laguna where your son is, and you can have a good visit, Laguna Beach. And I says, okay, then we have to go right now. So we went to this, because I don't like doing the ceremonies on the ocean or the beaches or wherever where there's a lot of people. I want to go when it's quiet. Mm-hmm. So I did this. I brought a stick with me. I found a stick and I picked it up and I drew this big circle in the sand and I wrote a few words in it towards peace and understanding and that. And I put down some tobacco in a circle that this guy had given me to use in the ceremony. So it's a native tobacco that I was spreading around in a circle. And when I then step into this other self of who I was giving my body to, mm-hmm. I found myself up there watching.
Yes.
And the body was doing what the body was doing. And the body was, and as it was talking, I didn't understand what the talking was.
Right.
Because they were talking in the language of the ancients.
Yes, the galactic speak.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm talking, doing all this, and I'm watching this. And then, I can even stay up there watching and cry. And, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And when the person that was using my body said, so it is done, and lowered her hands, my arms, and I'm watching this, a wave came in, washed over her feet, took out the circle, everything was gone and accepted into the water.
Right.
So for 2 hours, we walked along the beach. We saw that the ocean was going out. So there was a sand dune way out there. I says, why don't we go sit on that? And I can talk to the dolphins and we can meditate. And we were out there for about 2 hours. And everywhere we did a ceremony, I just offered more tobacco, picked up a piece of sand or a stone and put it in the gathering thing. And I said, oh, I forgot to pick up some sand. He says, well, it's too late now. You won't know where it is. The spot is, because it was always where the spot was. And I said, as we're walking, I says, no, we'll know where it is. There'll be a sign. And he says, what? Yeah, there'll be a sign. Don't worry about it. We're getting to a place where I'm almost there, and I'm thinking, I have a feeling that it's sort of here. A wave came in, and when it left, there was a circle of tobacco. And I just looked at him and I said, told you there'd be a sign. Did you doubt? Did you doubt? He says, okay, and he got the vial out and he picked up the sand. And then a wave came in and
one took it out again.
Took it all back. It was gone. And I thought that was the most, I guess, stunning performance I've ever seen.
Right. And the thing is, you allowed yourself, the channeling. I'm a channeler, mm-hmm. But you allowed, another sort of entity to go in. And of course, that ancient language, I have a friend who does galactic speak. She channels it and you have no idea what she's saying. And she doesn't have any idea what she's saying. And it's very rhythmical, the words that come out. Mm-hmm. But they're very, very directional to what is needing to be said, and they're actually brilliant as a form of therapy, because it resets your DNA, it resets your equilibrium, and it bypasses our head of judgment or, you know, needing to know the why, you know, and it goes right to the core of it, and it's actually very, very profound. And the fact that you can channel that, that's wonderful.
Well, it was, this whole journey was that way. And in fact, the one place he wanted us to go to was Bear Butte, and he wanted to do a ceremony there for it, and return some of the things from what is called Boricua, which is Puerto Rico, and offer those things. And I said, we're going out to the West Coast, so if you want us to stop at Bear Butte, well, fine. The next thing I know, we did the Bear Butte ceremony, but that was unbelievable when that was done. Mm-hmm. We get into the car, we're driving, and I told it, I said, could you just turn the truck, this car, I keep calling it car, it was a truck, turn it so we can, I would like to look at Bear Butte a little longer. Because I said, I think something's happening. And so as he turned and we sat there looking at the butte, I'm going, that cloud, it looks like a grandmother, you know, godmother, or the, you know, and it's got the face, it's got the shoulders, it's got the white braids coming down. And she had one hand going up like this, and she's looking at us and she's saying, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was, and I said, and he wasn't as tuned in, but for this journey he was. Mm-hmm. And I says, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And he says, I think so. I says, could you describe it? Because I'm not going to tell him.
Yes.
I wanted him to tell me. And he described, he says, well, it looks like the cloud was a big face, a woman's face, you know, the goddess mother. And she's saying, thank you.
Right.
That, and oh, I could go on and on. We'd have to have 5 hours.
People don't realize, you know, how if we get out of our own human way and we tap into our spirit, our heart and our soul, and allow ourselves to be guided, of how, you know, how immersed we are with the cosmos, with the energies, how guiding they are. It's this, that we put this barrier around us and we don't allow things to come in. I've been a channel all my life. I used to play with dead people, and I used to help people cross over. And it's been something that, you know, that world for me has never been disconnected from me. I've always been a part of it. And, you know, death is something I don't cry at. You know, it's because I know that it's just the body that's gone, not, you know, not the spirit, not the soul. You know, that is in me, what they left behind and around us and constantly there. And it's, if we just opened up and stop being so afraid of what we don't know and just allow things to be shown, you know, and you only need to know what you need to know at the time you need to know it.
Exactly.
You know, you don't need to analyze it and do a, you know, whole, you know, thesis on it. Just be in the moment and allow those moments to happen. And you'll have a lot of aha moments where you don't need to explain. It was just meant to be experienced.
I had you must have read Celestine Prophecy.
Oh, yes. I love that one.
And I was paying very close attention when I was going on that journey. That you know, I was by myself. My father was in the hospital, supposedly leaving the planet. I went in to see him 5 a.m. before I left, and gave him a blessing, and a teardrop went on his cheek, and I kissed him goodbye. And I thought, well, if he goes, he goes, and I've done all I can. And everybody was sort of mad. Yeah. Why are you leaving? Your dad's not well, that he might pass. And I says, listen, you guys don't believe in me anyway, or whatever, you know, I'll do my own thing. I will know when he's gone, and I'll do my own thing, and I'll be fine. When 2 days later, that was really weird. I called my daughter to see how things were going. I figured he might have passed, but I didn't know that I didn't feel it. Mm-hmm. And she says, oh, I've been trying. Couldn't wait for you to call, because I wanted to tell you that Dad, or Opa, went home. I said, when? She said, the next day when you were there. At noon, he woke up and he looked at his wife and he says, I'm hungry. She says, what? Like, he wasn't even talking. He was comatose for I don't know how long. And I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, he lived for another 2 or 3 years or whatever it was, 4 even, yeah. So that was good. But on that journey, though, Celestine Prophecy, I was reminding myself to say, look for the brighter side of the road.
Yes.
Look for the sign that shines bright. So I was using that. And then years later, when we were going on this other journey with my second husband, I had a friend living in California. And Mariana I just had her address. I didn't have a map. I didn't know how to get off or where to go. And there was 3 exits along where she lived in California. And I just said, okay, drive on the right side so you'd be ready to exit when I say exit here, because I'm going to watch for the sign to be bright. And sure enough, I said, exit here. We did. And when we got to the bottom, there was a gas station with a telephone. I says, go into there. I'll go and I'll phone her. I have her phone number. And she answered the phone. I said, oh, Mariana, it's Telsie. And I'm standing here at such and such a place. I just don't know where to turn to find your place. She says, where are you? I said, just came off the highway. There's a gas station there in the phone booth. She says, I know exactly where you are. Come out of the gas station, turn right. The next street, turn right. The next street, turn right. And you're there.
Right. Yeah. You got out of your own way and you just allowed the guidance to guide you. Yes.
And I've had so many of these things happen to me because I would allow it.
Yes. Yeah.
I would allow it to tell me something. And when it first started, I would think, why am I getting these things?
Right.
Why are you telling me this? How am
back to the why, right? And then
that's why it's called why.
Yeah, and that's the reason when you just get to a thing, well, because you're meant to be there. You're meant to be doing that. You know, that's the why. You know what I say to people, what is your why in life? And the why is, why am I here? What's your meaningful purpose? What are you here to change? Right? Because we are the change we seek. And that's, the why. And when people can answer that why, then they actually understand why they're here. And then it's, well, because I am here to do.
Yes.
Right?
Or yes, it's because I'm learning how to accept things for myself.
Right.
And something that not everybody can actually teach.
Yes.
I mean, it's
a life lesson. Yeah.
I was doing services. I was ordained as a spiritual minister. So I was doing services and doing all kinds of things. And the minute somebody started to say something, and I saw them sort of picking up my nuances or trying to emulate me, I said, you don't want to do that. Because the minute you do, I'm going to say something so disappointing to you, it'll crash your energy.
Yeah.
And I says, and what if you put that into anybody that you want to follow as your guru or your teacher or your spiritual guide or whatever? But if you try to emulate them and be them instead of being who you are inside, you'll be disappointed when I fall off my pedestal.
Yes.
Everything falls down because you were trying to emulate this person who you thought was that great. I'm not that great. I can say the bad words lots of times.
Yes.
And when I do, they go,
right.
And it's like, no, don't emulate anybody. Listen to what they're having to say. Feel what they're having to say, but interpret it in your own way.
Yeah, I call it inspiration for invitation. Mm-hmm. When you inspire someone, you're inviting them to find that within themselves, right? Exactly. Discover your own light. You're so inspired by that person's journey and how they discovered their light and who they are now, what they're doing and how they make you feel. It's not for you to step into their light. It's for they have to shed light upon you. It's for you to now switch your own light on. It's inviting you to take your own journey without the fear or with the tools or with the skills or with the inspiration, knowing you can do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to be smart too in some ways, like don't go fall off a cliff because you thought that's what they were telling you.
Yes. Please.
No, excuse me, that would hurt.
Yes. And that is, that's sheepalism. That is I love Wayne Dyer's I Am. And I had somebody on a while ago who had channeled Wayne Dyer after he died. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, we've always got to step into I Am. And my metaphor for this is discover your musical instrument. and then learn to perfect your instrument, play it from the heart. And she was saying, but his message now is we must become the we are. So my message is this: discover your musical instrument, perfect it the best as you can, as I am this instrument, bring it to the orchestra of life, the we are,
Well,
and play it in a harmonious way that then creates a symphony that invites everyone else. And we can't just become a we are without understanding, who am I?
right,
What's my instrument here? What's my part to play? So many people join things, spiritual things, just to become, there's so many spiritual practices that are just another version of religion,
right.
right? And it's because they're still abstaining from taking any ownership or responsibility or choice making over themselves. It's still following everyone else, living in someone else's light, instead of willing to step into their own.
Step into your own light, step into who you are, and
Yes.
begin to understand who you are and why you are here doing what you're meant to do.
Yes.
But you can't do that if you deny learning about yourself.
Right.
You can't do anything. You're just following along.
Yes.
Where'd that come from? Oh, there's a baba in here.
And the thing is don't, I like Don Rue's 4 agreements. Speak your word with integrity. Don't assume, ask, right?
Right.
Do your very best measured on yourself, and don't take things personally. If somebody's coming out on the attack, very often it's coming from their own mirror image.
Right.
And they're just trying to impose it on you. Don't take it personally. 4 simple rules, but let's put some common sense into some things, right? And yes, an attack hurts. Vibrationally, it hurts. Of course it does. Right? But it's, don't reflect it back, just, again, like with the old coffee thing, send that love. I'm sorry you feel this way. Here's some love. Because most of the time when people attack you, or when they're shouting and they're arguing and they're hurting you, is because they are in pain and they don't know what else to do.
And they don't know why or how it got there.
Yes.
They didn't have an argument with something, but something inside of them is bubbling up from the past that may have been hidden for 20, 50 years. So who knows?
They don't know their why, and they don't know how to deal with it.
No, and it bubbles up, and all of a sudden you feel this way.
Yes.
And you just don't know how to look into that feeling.
Yep.
That's what you have to do. You have to unzip it.
Yes.
You have to look into it, and then you have to let it go.
Yeah.
See what you could have learned from it, how you grew from it. It's like walking, if you're walking on a journey and you come to a mountain. Well, some might look at it and say, oh, I'll be up there in no time. And they go straight from the bottom to the top. Right, one line. Another person will come along and say, oh, that's beautiful, but how will I walk this way and come back this way and go back this way? And so they do this figure 8 going up the mountain. But look what they've discovered.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It wasn't a fast run. You're discovering more about yourself as you're taking this journey. And I think that makes me think about the times that I have spent alone. The journeys that I went on, I was never afraid. And I was there by myself. And I know we had also gone to India, and I wish I could find the tape of it. But there was, I had a camera, and my husband at the time, he always liked to go with listening to the lectures, and no, I want to feel. I want to sense. I want to feel. Yes. So if they were going that way, I would go the opposite way.
Right.
And I would found myself in this cave all by myself. And there was a Buddha laying there, but I took my camera and I zoomed in across the way, because it was a circular event, big caves and caverns. And I zoomed across, and I got into another cave on the other side, and I could see another Buddha laying there. And I don't know why, but I started chanting. And I was chanting this beautiful melody. I don't know what it was, but I knew it was kind of coming out of me. But somebody was doing it. And my husband, he said, what happened when everybody heard the chant? He says, he knew it was me. He says, nobody moved. Wherever they were, they stood still and they listened. And I don't know how long it went on for, but I recorded it because I was recording the And I really want to, I guess I have to find the recording, take it to someplace who can put it on a CD
Yeah.
so I can hear it.
Yes.
And use
it. Nowadays it's a fob. Most computers and things don't have CDs anymore. So
well, I know, yes, yeah. Put it on the
upload it to the cloud so you can download it. Yes.
Yeah, put it on one of these things.
Yes.
These little sticks. Yeah.
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 And that's that's the thing. That's capturing those moments. I've had the most beautiful moments in my life.
Yeah.
And there were moments when I was in my truth, my cosmic truth, because I'm a cosmic being struggling with a human life. And when I'm in that zone, that channeling, this is why it's hard for me to write, because I go into my zone, and sometimes my writing can keep up with it, and sometimes it's just the audio that comes out. And people say I'm working with people on things, and, oh, can you say that again? I said no.
Oh, it's gone.
And so they've learned to record now, because I'm in my zone, I'm in my moment, I can't backpedal. Right, I'm in a flow. I'm moving forward. I mean, you can't re-chant the chant.
That reminds me of a story, a small story. As I was had my ministry going, some of the spiritual churches in neighboring towns and things like that would invite me to be a guest speaker. And I'd get up, early in the morning, sit on the floor, watch the sunrise, and write down whatever the sermon was going to be about. And I'm sitting there this one day. We were having to go to Hamilton, and I'm sitting there. Why is there nothing coming? There's that word again. Why is nothing coming onto the paper? Because usually once I get myself centered,
right,
the sermon, the message will transpire. Nothing. I says, oh, great. And I kept hearing in my head, you don't need to write it down. It will be given. Just trust. And I says, oh, yeah, right. I'm not an expert at doing this yet. So I took my binder with all my old sermons with me, right? Or what do you want to call them? Messages. And I took a tape recorder, because I'm in the car, and I said, well, I'm going to take the tape recorder. And if you want me to go off the cuff, I have the binder with me. I don't have anything coming out. But in case I'm going to go off the cuff, I want to know what it is, right? So I started the tape recorder, started my message, and bring forward whatever I was bringing forward to the people there. And when it was said and done, turned off the tape recorder, hadn't a clue what I said. I don't know what I said, right? So I walked down. They ran it like a regular church service. So the person who gave the lecture would walk down, and then everybody passed, and they'd shake your hand and say thank you. And every person that came, they had this glow on their face. They almost some had tears in their eyes. And you gave me everything I needed to hear. And I'm going, uh-huh.
Yes. Yes.
Every single one. And then they have the tea or coffee downstairs. And I couldn't wait to get to my car, because I wanted to listen to what I said. So, long story short, tea and coffee, talked to people, ran out of there, get in my car, have to drive home. So before that, I turned the tape recorder on. I rewound it and turned it on, and it was no, okay, this is breaking it. I don't want it broken, so I put it into the tape recorder in the car. Same thing. No, I'll go home to a proper machine, and it'll be fine. Same thing. Phoned my best friend, and I said, Jean, you're home. Good, you got a tape recorder. We got to hear this. Same thing.
I know. It's happened to me.
And it was
not meant to be. It was for that moment, for those people at that time, and that was it.
And I didn't have to know, but I needed to trust that.
Right.
And it's so hard when you say, I always wrote everything out. I listen, I feel it, I would write it, and then I would deliver it. But this one, no recording.
No.
I don't know what I said from the time I opened my app to the time I closed it.
Yeah.
Nothing. I only remember standing there shaking everybody's hands.
Yeah, I'm a lot like that when I get into my flow. It's my daughter's wedding was last a couple of weeks ago, and I had my speech written out, which normally I would not read word for word, but my points, and I couldn't see it because the lighting wasn't good enough. So, I had enough for just what I wanted to do, and off I went. and I don't remember what I said. I think I covered this and I think I covered that. But, you know, it was in the zone. I've gone back and read material because I'm a blogger, and I go, oh, you know, that's pretty cool. Who wrote that? Me.
Because and it's amazing when you discover that it was you.
And just trust you now. You know, that's the thing. That I've had the same recording thing. The message wasn't to be repeated. It was for those people in that moment that they needed to know. And you just have to trust that, you know, you had the impact.
Yeah.
And you didn't need to know any more than that. And this is why I'm always saying about, you know, the gutting says, why do you know? I don't know, I just know. Well, I call that the divine connection that resonates with the heart, that goes into spirit interaction, and the mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And when you're working from that divine heart, spirit, and soul, then the mind just comes out with what needs to come out with, right?
It does. It does. I was doing a channeling work at somebody's house, and my friend Jean again, she was having this little group of people over, and she had a cat that was very, very ill. And I was in the middle of doing some little bit of channeling work for this group that we were together, and I was told that my husband said to me, he said, what I did was I'd say, excuse me, I'll be back. Well, I didn't leave. Somebody left.
Yeah.
Went to the cat that was wailing out, you know, outside the door, being kind of a disruption.
Right.
Whatever, was gone only maybe 30 seconds or so, or 40. Came back into the body and started the channeling and started giving out the information again. That cat lived for, I don't know, 3-4 months afterwards.
Right.
I mean, you know, but it stopped, it's whining, whatever.
Right.
The channel was coming in, went to the cat. So.
Well, that's the thing, the energy. You know, my dog has passed now, and I used to look after my son's dogs, and whenever I did shows, they loved being by my feet or on my lap, because, you know, I've only recently gone to video. It was audio always before for 5 years, and they loved the energy of a show.
Yeah.
And you know, I could tell, you know, the higher the energy, the more that, you know, they were there, and they just loved it. And we've got to remember, the energy resets things. It you know, rebalances, regrows organs, which we've talked about, you know, and, you know, it's another subject there, but that's the power of it. We must not forget we're 70% water. And if we are positive to our water crystallizes. It has so much energy in it. It has so much healing commodities in there. It keeps the rest of our body really healthy. Anger, hate, pain is one that can destroy it and cause dis-ease and break down the body. And so when we pour positive energy into the body, and we're changing that water, we're changing the chemistry of the blood and everything else, we can change the entire need of what that body needs in order to flourish.
I did a test with the water that I can't remember his name now, but he was quite the gentleman that did the test with Crystal.
Momoto. I actually have on air this week in the Let's Get Sing series under Eco Solutions, the gentleman that worked with him that's carried on his work.
Oh, good. It was fantastic. So I tried it out with people. Yeah. I took 2 glasses of water, put 2 papers on the table, but I wrote words on it.
Yeah.
One was love and one was hate, but they couldn't see what was written. I had it upside down. So, and I said, just give it a minute with the water sitting there. Then I want you to taste the one glass of water, and I want you to then taste the other glass. And whatever glass I picked up with the hate, oh, that's horrible. You know, it didn't change color or anything at that moment. I just could taste that was horrible. Yeah. I picked up the one with love sitting on it. Oh, that's so sweet. And it's just refreshing.
Yes.
So what I did then too, because that to me was giving more proof to the pudding.
Right.
Yeah, I was believing, but I like to test things out.
Right.
So I took a black marker, and inside my fridges, I wrote love.
Yeah.
Inside there, so that everything that goes into the fridge is surrounded with the energy of love. So that's just another thing you do and remember doing.
Put on your clothes with love. Maybe even put on a little something in your pocket. I love me today. You know, and, you know, We've got to remember, you know, I had a company which I called The Importance of You. And it's very different from self-importance. Self-importance is derived by ego or insecurity, but the importance of you is making sure that you give yourself the love, the energy, the need, because the more abundant you are, the more your cup runneth over. And it's really, really important that we do take that time to love and nurture ourselves.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we'll never understand our why or our how or our what or our where or our when. And
Our
you know,
quest.
it's all, you know, part of when we discover that love within us. And yes, I know a great deal of you go, oh, but I've been so hurt. I've been this, I've been that, I've been victimized. I have another show on of Rob Shear. I invite you to listen to his shows. He is a foster gentleman that eventually adopted children and is fighting the whole foster system. And his book, with what he went through, Russian roulette with his parents, you know, which kid are we going to kill first? You know, the things that he went through, who he is today was a choice, a struggle to get there, but a choice. And the work that he's doing today is only because of love. And he had to learn to love himself.
But he had to go through all of that
Yes.
to get to where he is now.
Yes.
And that's what people do not want to understand. What you go through in the downsides.
Yes.
Crying and who, anger, resentment, pain, suffering, divorce,
trauma,
drama, death. You know, you keep going and going and going. And if you want to, you can settle in on all that, or you can learn to move beyond and learn to understand more of who you truly are, because you're divine spirit.
Yeah. Yes.
And sometimes we push divine spirit away and we become angry and we become resentful and we get all muddled up in that.
Right.
Where pain comes into the body because you're not paying attention to everything, you know? So thank you for some of the reminders of things that I've gone through forever and ever. But just talking about it all just has even lifted my own spirit.
Right.
You know, just to, you remember you did that. You remember this happened. And what happened? You know, you became so elated, or you just felt so wonderful now. I have a pyramid sitting here in my yard, the backyard. The energy is flowing. Somebody says, well, why don't you go sit in it? I just said, don't have to.
No.
It's in the house. It first filled up the pyramid.
Right.
It's good size. And then it's filled the house. Then it's filled the property. Then it's going out and it's connected with other pyramids. And I found another pyramid down a few miles away from me. A lady built an identical thing. It's interesting.
Please listen to my pyramid show, the Bosnia Pyramid, the uncovering of it, the healing commodities of the water and the energy. The Russians have taken the same dimensions and rebuilt it, and the things that they've discovered on that. And the pyramids weren't for the pharaohs, and, you know, and to as grave things. They were actually 1,000 of them placed around the world, and some of them were big enough to have these big energy beacons that were meant to go up to the universe to literally power the whole earth. And then something happened along the line and that never happened. But, you know, it's just, it was harnessing the universe's a planet, but the configuration and the mathematical of the fractal of the pyramid is highly powerful in its energizing, and it's that's really fascinating.
I'm trying to find it in the book. I think there's a picture of it in here, but it's black and white, like gray, because we don't print this all in color. But I'd have to. I can't seem to find one, but I'm positive I had one in here. So that's my pyramid out there, and you know, I ever since people that in the United States had this gathering once a season in the summertime, and people would come from all over the place, and they had this huge pyramid that they built, an enclosed one. You actually had to go down like you would you go down the steps first before you climb the ladder to go up into the apex. But and there was no lights in it.
Right.
But you get up there, you said, where's that light coming from?
Mm-hmm.
It was everybody's energy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Measurable energy.
And you could see, and that's what got me interested in it.
Right.
And I don't have the pyramid that mine's built out of copper and that, but in the proper portions.
Yes.
That's the whole thing and the key part of it. And I have another pyramid in my car, but it's a 3-sided pyramid. And somebody said, why did you build that? I says, well, I don't know why, but it's just told me to build it in a 3-sided pyramid. but I just made it a copper wire and devised it, and it's in my car. And I'm a lead foot, but now I use cruise control, so I'm not a lead foot now. But I'd be 140, 200 I'm talking kilometers, and I'd be passing police officers on the side of the road. And I'm going, oh, that's going to be a ticket. Oh, I know that's going to be a ticket. They're reading, writing something down. They never even saw me. I think my car was a light vehicle at that point, because it's in my car now too. But, it just these things that you do, and I don't know why, darn it, I do them, and I stop asking.
That's the thing, Pascal Fractal from the 500th century, the mathematics of understanding was only for the elite at that time. And now, people have taken his teachings, like with Tesla's teachings, and, simplified it to apply to our lives and the things that are coming out of it. This thing has always been there. The information has always been there. But, it's like, racism was something that was founded by the Spanish Inquisition as a way of dividing. Up until then, you were your color. It was no big deal, right? And it's all of our problems are man-devised, right? If we go back to the divine energy and live in that energy, where we do not see the difference in color, shape, size, age, economics, or religion, but we see each other as an energy source, as a light, we will actually truly really understand what we're here for, how incredibly powerful we are, and what we can really do. And then we are seeing that shift happening, and I am seeing it happening now. And I think what we're going to see is the foot to the pedal from the powers that be to escalate that light within us even more.
But there's another thing that I had used in another writing, and it was look at love and compassion. Just understand you are human.
Yeah.
Understand there's so many things we have in common. So look at the commonalities.
Yeah.
First of all, you have a mother because you were born. Yes. You may not know your father who gave the seed, but you do know your mother. And if you're lucky to know your father, fine, you know both. But you were born. The other part of that conclusion is you will die.
Yes.
In between, the earth goes around, the air goes around. And if you really stop to think about it, we all breathe the same air.
Yes. We're all on the same clock.
Yes.
We all have the same blood. You might have a different type, but the same blood, the same oxygen.
Mine's red and yours is red, and your skin is black or purple or green, but my blood's red and your blood's red.
Right.
You bleed the same color.
We all have the organs the same, and we all have the same fears and desires to be loved and to love, to count, to feel safe, to be able to grow, to provide. We've all got that within us. If we could stop seeing the vehicle that we're driving in, the body, and start seeing ourselves from the inside out,
If you're learning how to look at auras, which we practice, of course you're going all these different courses and things like that. So you're learning how to look at an aura, and somebody that I can't get it. I said, well, you have to not look at it.
Right, exactly.
You have to actually defocus your eyes. You're not focusing on that person. You're defocusing.
Yes.
Opening up the spectrum, then you will start to see the auras around each person and the plants. And everybody says, oh, that doesn't have an aura. I says, everything on the planet comes from Mother Earth is an aura, whether it's a plastic, a wooden door, a glass.
It has a signature.
Mm-hmm. It has an aura.
Yeah.
And it came from Mother Earth. It came from the Earth body, because that's the only thing you can create it with. Whatever is on the planet, it has always been on the planet. It's just in different forms.
Yes.
Computers
exactly.
are on the planet now, but there's a different form than when it was the tom-toms. I mean, it's
everything has a signature. Everything is mathematically equated. Everything is fractal. The thing is, we've got to understand we're all made of the universal particles. Every single one of us, and every single thing, right?
It's energy, and that's what we are. What is it? The neutrinos that come into your body, what is it, 3 million or something every second going right through your body, right through the house, right through everything. And when you start to think of that, you're going, oh, that's too much. It's going to blow my mind up, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
But that's how we get our information.
And when we have blockages, when the energy is not allowed to run through the body, that's where we get the pain. That's where we get the problem. The energy must flow throughout your body, throughout your psyche, throughout your beingness, through your light, in order for that fluidity, because life is about fluidity. It is about constant flow. But my dear, we need to flow ourselves out the door here now. Really, we could carry on talking forever. So, but it is that time to let everybody know how they can find you, your site, how they can find the books, what you've got coming up. Is there any way anybody can book you?
No, I'm not an booking person. I mean, I'm here. They can talk to me anytime. We can talk on the phone. We can write. They can. A lot of information is on the orb,
and the site is.
And the site is the orb. That's just the orb, THEORB @simplesite.com.
Okay, I've actually got theorb.simplesite.com.
Okay, then that's what it is.
Okay, so the orb, theorb.simplesite.com. Yes. And you're on Amazon?
I am on Amazon. No. Yes.
And that is why Telsie.
Amazon, this is that on. They're all there.
Right.
And then books that Peter and I put jointly together is on there. So that's under Telsie. My name, Telsie-Boese, TELSIEBOESE, or just put in Y by Telsie-Boese or PJ Churchill, and it'll drive them to that site. The Spirit Woman's Quest is there. I'm also on LinkedIn under my name, where I found you and talked to you.
And how do you spell your surname, love, so people know? Your whole name, actually.
Telsie is TELSIE. So that's Elsie with a T in front.
Right.
And Boese is BOESE. Now, when I was selling real estate way back when, I would say Telsie-Boese Eller because I was Boese and then I married an Eller. So, but I had to put the Boese in because his family, there was a few real estate people, so I didn't want to just be Eller.
Right.
I went Telsie-Boese Eller. If I say that, oh, Chelsea, what a nice name. And I said, no, Telsie.
Yes.
Oh, Delsie, Kelsey. I mean, everything. So you know what I started with, and that's what's on Spirit Woman's Quest. You'll see it. Is I have the TLC.
Right.
Telsie. That's how you say my name, Telsie. TLC. Right. So I started saying that over the phone, saying Telsie-Boese Eller. Oh, Chelsea, what a lovely name. I found a way to do this.
I'm Sara without the H. It's Sarah with the H, but I'm without the H. I'm Sara, and yes. I get called everything. And I say, as long as you don't call me bitch, I'm okay.
Well, I didn't want them to call somebody else something else, and send the real estate deal to somebody else.
Exactly.
I wanted to make my money there too.
Well, this has been absolutely great, Telsie. We've learned a lot. We've learned your why, your how, your gifts, and I know that the book will be really fun to read, and the orb as well. Actually, it's not called just the orb, is it? It's the orb. I'm looking at here. The Women's Quest, the Spirit Women's Quest.
That's on the orb too.
Right.
All the books are on the orb.
Okay.
Peter's books, they're all there. You'll find them in a link. Mine's just new releases, which doesn't mean anything, but that's all my books and joint books. And then there's Peter Churchill's books. They're there. Yeah. I was thinking, what is it? This one or this one? I put, gosh, you don't know. Brain doesn't work sometimes.
And I do invite people to go and listen to Peter's show. The link is here on the page, and right. From Peter's show, it will be driven back to you. And this is you're both individual, but you're the yin and yang, and both bring your own artistry to the game. But you can see the support and you can see the celebration between you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, and it is in the book. It's on page 254. and there's all the list of where they can find me. theorb.simplesite.com.
Right.
That's it. And that's as simple as you can get. And
Right.
the facebook.com/TLC Telsie.
Excellent.
That's
Wonderful.
So,
well, thank you so much, love. This has been really
Sarah.
great. It's been a lovely flow, and you know, we've gone from sex. We didn't cover drugs and rock and roll, but
well, I used to love rock and roll.
yeah, a little bit of that. But we let the spirit flow and take us where it needed to go. So, you know, it's a wonderful journey that you've had. Keep on journeying, keep on writing about it, keep on inspiring, because this is what we need. And, you know, especially when we get to that mature age, people think it's time to put us out to farm, so to speak. Hey, we've just opened up. We're just getting going. There's no holding us back. We've got a lot to share.
You're not raising the children.
Exactly. And if you're wise enough, you will listen, because there's a lot to learn and be inspired by.
Yes,
so
please do.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Telsie.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
And to everyone else out there, remember, set yourself free, be willing to explore sensually, sexually, spiritually.
Yes.
Let yourself go with the flow, because you have no idea what you're missing out on if you don't. Okay? Until next time, folks. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
For more wonderful shows like this, please go to selfdiscoveryradio.com, podcasts, and see our lineup. And if you wish to support us, we have a funded button. Please stay tuned for our next show.